Have you ever felt deep within that there's something more you're supposed to be doing, but you're not sure what? Have you ever felt like you're producing a lot, but not expressing at all? Welcome to She Made It. I'm your host, Zimmerman, and I am on a mission to help you cultivate meaning through the path of creativity. Join me to eavesdrop on conversations with brave women who broke through their resistances into a life of authenticity. Because I believe if she made it, you can too. Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of She Made It. And this week, I am doing She Made It live from my closet again. I'm actually really loving this recording studio space. And as some of you may know, my closet is kind of a sacred space to me. It's my special place. It's my safe zone. It's my, if mommy is in the closet, leave her alone. Needless to say, I feel very comfortable in here, and I'm really digging this. So as I was preparing for this episode, which is another solo episode, I have to be honest, I was very grateful and overwhelmed with the positive feedback from my last episode, which was solo. So I thought, in these unusual times, let's fall to unusual measures. So I'm going to do another solo episode, which I know some of you miss Clara. And Clara and I did talk about, we're going to have her on for the next episode. We're going to have a conversation. She'll be in her closet. I'll be in my closet. And we'll chat about some thoughts and ideas that we've been kind of sharing. And excited to chat with her. And by the way, if you did not have a chance to listen to my last episode, I really do encourage you to do so, especially if you're feeling a bit panicky or you're grieving. Right now, there's a lot of grief about reentry. But I spoke about panic to possibility. So I'd love you to join in and listen. I don't know about you, but this time, it feels like such a sacred time, such an interesting time. I'm just imagining years from now when the topic of conversation centers around, so where were you? Where were you during coronavirus? What did you do when you had to stay at home in quarantine? In the midst of the big changes that we're all experiencing, I'm also noticing a ton of these little lifestyle changes. For example, for me, I'm experiencing this overwhelm of videos to watch on social media, videos for work, socializing through video, Zoom coffee dates, masterminds, Bible studies, family meetings, and even people who have had podcasts are switching to video conversations. So video interviews, I don't know, it's crazy for me. And it's really interesting, I think, why this is happening, because if you sort of reflect on how much time we were spending on podcasts or audiobooks, those hours were our commuting hours, time in the car, maybe exercise time, walking at the gym, and that time of our day has almost completely disappeared. Now, on a side note, I hope you're still exercising, and I hope you're getting out into nature, because boy, oh boy, do we ever need that right now. But if you're like me, it is so easy to wake up, sometimes get dressed, sometimes not, spend the day in the house, and then even just forget to go outside. So I try to make it a habit of going for a walk, even just to step outside to take some deep breaths. It's funny because I used to equate walking to exercise. Like I would go take a walk, power walk. Now I just take a stroll. It's like I just walk down the street and back. It's a more meandering walk. So I just encourage you to do that too. But the other thing that I'm noticing is that I'm not drinking enough water. I guess it's my whole pattern of commuting and grabbing a water bottle, going to the gym and having my water bottle. That time, that lifestyle choice is gone. So now I'm going up to my office, and I'm not bringing a bottle of water, but I'm drinking coffee, and I'm drinking lots and lots and lots of coffee. So I finally actually ordered a box of decaf, which came yesterday, thankfully for my kids. And I'm just wondering, why didn't I think of this sooner? Anyway, so trying to drink more water. But whether you're experiencing this video overload or a change in your diet and your exercise, lack of hydration, your audio time has gone up, your Netflix time has gone up, I would really love to hear from you. What are the significant lifestyle changes, those little day-to-day things that are different that you're experiencing? And I know some of them can be really great. I've heard lots of people share these incredible positive things that are coming out of this experience. But I know that we're all staying home and we're not going anywhere, and that's a major lifestyle change. But what I want to know is, how is this affecting your self-care, your use of technology? How are you expressing your creativity? Are you reading books more? I'm finding that lots and lots of people are picking projects to do. They're organizing things. They're taking on these projects that have been looming for years, and now they're putting their focus into them. It's funny because actually this past weekend, I tried to have mulch delivered, and the very first time slot was well over 2 weeks away. And that's really, really early for us, for people to start mulching and doing yard work. But they're so backlogged with people wanting to do work around the house. I also noticed that baking flour, is completely sold out at the grocery store. The last 2 times I've gone grocery shopping, which is actually only we go like once a month, because I guess everybody has time to bake. In fact, Noah, my oldest son, and I, we decided we're going to bake pies. Now, neither of us have ever baked a pie in our lives, and pies are not a thing in my family. There's no family secret. There's no recipe, special technique. We don't even have them at family gatherings. So I don't know what we're doing. I have no idea what I'm doing. He has no idea what he's doing. But part of the fun is that we're on total equal footing. Neither of us know, so it's going to be this fun maybe experiment. I don't know. We picked 3 different pies. We're going to make a key lime pie, an apple pie, and I think it's a lemon meringue pie. So we'll see. But in order to do the pie baking, I had to buy the 6-pound bag of flour at Costco because I couldn't find it at any grocery store. In fact, it's kind of funny because this past weekend, I went to the grocery store wearing my homemade mask. I will proudly add, I got my sewing machine out that had been buried for over 10 years. Figured out how to thread the daggone thing. But we've been doing these jumbo grocery shoppings where we mask up, we glove up, we have an organized list, we get 2 carts, then Curtis and I divide and conquer Costco. And then we make a stop at Kroger, and we spend hundreds of dollars, but then we don't shop for almost 4 weeks. And of course, we're not eating out. So we plan our meals, we have specific snacks, we make lists, we tell the kids what you can't eat, what you can eat, because we don't want them to eat the packaged things until the fresh things are eaten. We've got this like whole system going, and everybody's on board. They make meals, we take turns. It's actually been pretty fun. It's been super efficient. It's a family team effort. But there's this kind of consumer power that I have when I have the van overloaded with groceries. But I will tell you, it also stops me. I take a look at that and I pause, and I am just so grateful that I am in a position to be able to do this right now. I'm in a position to be able to buy this amount of food at one time to feed my family without stress and pressure. And I'm keenly aware that not everyone is in that same boat. So we pray for those who have less. We pray blessings on our own food, and we offer a deep gratitude as we enjoy every meal. But this grocery store shopping process has also added a bit of stress because we're being very, very careful when we go out. But it's interesting because there's another thing I'm finding. It's that there are 2 types of people. In fact, my best friend, who is a news anchor in Cincinnati, she's the morning anchor. She's going in every single morning. She and the teleprompter operator are the only 2 people going into the station. Everyone else is broadcasting from home, which I'm sure you're probably seeing that as well. Kelly and Ryan in their living rooms. Kind of interesting. But she coined the term tale of 2 bodies. She kind of looks at it as, I'm most likely going to get it. If I get it, I'm healthy and I'm not really around too many other people, and it's kind of a bummer I can't go out to eat. But she goes to the grocery. She's very careful. She gets what she needs, washes her hands, but kind of thinks that those of us who are quarantining our mail and keeping our food in the garage for 2 days before we bring it into the house, making homemade masks, that we're kind of out of our minds. She's very respectful, but she does kind of think we're crazy. And we are on the out of our mind side. I think partially because I have elderly parents, and I really haven't been able to see them, and I know that if I do, there has to be a 14-day quarantine. I just don't want to take the risk of infecting them, and so protecting myself is the way I do that. I mean, the whole thing feels very tricky, and it's kind of confusing, and I know there's different sides to this, and I want to do what's best for everyone. And I'm sure like me, you're starting to see some unrest and frustration. People are feeling very conflicted by this constraint. And even in my own home, we're seeing a tale of two bodies. Some are careful, some are ready to get out and believe it's blown out of proportion. I don't know. It's kind of like allowing each person to choose what is best for them. I believe that there is a focus around the collective good, and I don't really have a judgment on anyone's choice, but it's tricky. It's tricky because some people have to go to work, and I'm thankful for those that are protecting me and my loved ones. And everyone in Ohio is now wearing masks, and most people also have gloves. And I'd say you see about, 60 to 70% of people are actually wearing masks. Most every cashier and grocery store employee is wearing a mask and gloves. So it was interesting when this past weekend at the grocery store, my cashier didn't have on a mask. She didn't have on gloves, even though she's touching what everyone else is touching in front of hundreds of people, probably hundreds and hundreds of people each day. And it was the end of the day, and I asked her about it. And she got a little uncomfortable, and I'm sure she was wondering if I was going to criticize her and give my opinion. But I asked her, and at the same time, I thanked her. I thanked her for being there so that I can provide food for my family. And then she opened up, and she told me that she said, honestly, I don't care. I have to go to work. She was a server at a restaurant. She really misses her job, and she needed to go and get the first job that was available. And I respect that. She didn't just wait for the government to take care of her. She went out and did the work. So there's that too. And I'm really thankful that she's willing to be on the floor working. So I want to continue to assume the best in others, to have grace and no judgment for another's choice, because I don't know everyone's story. So today, I want to talk about something I call the setup stall. Along with the day-to-day changes that I've talked about and the transitions of our day dramatically changing, with no more commuting, running errands, picking up food, driving the kids around. All this transition time that's opened up has offered us so much more time. And it's quite shocking to me to become aware of just how much in-between time my life was filled with. And I will include picking out my outfit for the day, putting on my makeup, along with all the packing and loading up of my stuff, my food, my water. It's crazy just how much time preparing and getting somewhere took up in my day. So now that preparation time is time that I can spend. It's extra time, which kind of feels like a blessing, but also a little bit like a curse. Because with all this extra time, we may feel obligated to do something with it. I've been hearing people share their ideas, their inspirations, being all fired up, maybe wanting to start a project, take a course, begin a new morning practice or workout. And if that sounds like you create a list of what you need to do to get started and you begin the setup. The setup takes your focus, researching the right stuff you need, the perfect space, the supplies. You feel productive. You feel busy. You seem busy. You are busy. You're getting ready, but you're actually stalling. You are protecting yourself from jumping into the work. And I call this the setup stall. Busying yourself to keep from starting. Ruminating as a resistance. Maybe perfectionism, maybe fear is creeping in. And I'm familiar with the setup stall. So I've been reading a book called The Quantum Leap, and William James, the father of psychology, said that there are 3 rules to change your life. 1, start immediately. 2, do it flamboyantly. And 3, no exceptions. Basically, the best way to get ready is to get going. And that you don't have to feel ready to be ready. You have enough to get started, and you'll learn the rest as you go. I think excuses for waiting are motivated by fear, and it's okay to feel fear, just move anyway. And don't tell yourself you need more time to get organized or lay out a plan. A lot of work has already been done. And it's waiting. It's waiting in your subconscious mind. So trust it and begin. I am a master at preparing. A couple years ago, when I was visiting my home away from home, San Diego, I took my daughter with me, and we went to Old Town on Saturday to the farmer's market. And she is a total urbanite. She's a lover of the city. So after the farmer's market, we drove around a bit. But being that it was Saturday, it was really quiet. Because if you lived in San Diego, my guess is that you wouldn't spend your weekend downtown, because the most beautiful beaches and parks frame the coastal side of the entire city. So nature, oceans, gardens, Torrey pines, hiking, all fill the weekend time. But we're driving through the quiet city, and we noticed a huge scripted L, E-L-L-E. It was a sign on the side of a brick building. It even looked like the font of my logo. So I circled around, and we drove by slowly and noticed that it was the store sign for a bridal boutique, the L Boutique. I love that. But it was by appointment only, and on this quiet Saturday, no one was there. So I Googled and called, and I discovered that the boutique is closing the next week. So my first thought, what are the odds? And then my second thought was, well, what are they going to need with a huge L sign if they're closed? So now I'm on a mission to get my carved 4-foot name. All the while, my daughter thinks I'm totally crazy, and then I'll never get it. But I remind her a phrase that I say over and over and over to her and my boys: if you don't ask, the answer is always no. So I have to ask. So after many calls, lots of details, back and forth, the business owner gets through to me, and we negotiate the purchase of the outdoor sign. And also there was an indoor sign, $100. So now keep in mind that I'm in San Diego, and I need to board a plane and get this baby back to Ohio, which I have a blog post detailing this journey about the sign. So I'll put the link in the show notes. But I traveled with my daughter, and I will just say she was toggling between totally impressed with my ingenuity and completely embarrassed walking next to me through the airport. But I did get it home. So I have a smaller sign that I mounted on my wall in my office, but the big one has been laying in 3 pieces in the corner in my house until now. So, thank you, quarantine. Lo and behold, I have it repaired, and I only glued my fingers together once, and now I'm mounting it on the wall in my home studio, and I love it. It is up now, and you can probably see on Instagram, I'll put a picture of it. I just love it. So getting my studio perfect, though, before starting my painting was my setup stall. So even though I love my picture, my big sign on the wall, it took me 3 weeks to get it up on the wall. And even though I'm happy about it, I spent all that time not painting. The time was wasted while I was trying to make my room perfect, delaying my bigger idea. So I wonder, are you stalling? Are you stalling your starting? Are you stuck in setup? Are you waiting until things are perfect? But what I learned about the L sign journey was with that, I just started moving, following my gut, taking the next most obvious step. I didn't have the perfect path. I didn't know how I was going to get it home. Especially, I didn't even know how I was going to get it on my wall. Because the thing doesn't have anything to screw on or hang on. It was just like, we did this like crazy little tack sticky thing. But it took a lot of work, but we got it. But with the L sign journey across the country, I just had to walk forward. I just really, really want to follow my creative pursuits in this same way. We need to make good enough, perfect enough to begin and create. So I wonder, have you chosen a project for this time? Are you creating every day? If not, or if you desire to, what can be your next even tiny baby step? So here's another thing going on for me, and maybe for you too. As we're nearing the end of April, and the word on the street is that May 1, we start a reentry program. Re-enter into the world from our stay-at-home order. The great return to normal. And I have no idea what that means. I have no idea what that's going to look like. All I do know is that it is a phasing in of what the next normal is. So maybe you're feeling a little apprehension about what's coming. And maybe you're telling yourself, stay at home for now means that everything needs to stop. I'll deal with it when it comes. Or maybe you're experiencing anger or grief or anxiety, telling yourself, I'm just going to wait till this is all over and curl up with Netflix. Or maybe you're pushing. Maybe you're pushing to be uber productive and succeeding. Meet the deadline. Or maybe you're not quite living up to the expectations of what you hope to accomplish during this time. Maybe, just maybe, this is not a time for you to judge any of your responses. Maybe it's not a time to get something done or accomplished. Maybe it's a time for you to get something started. I'm going to share something that I'm not really comfortable admitting. And I'm asking you to be kind with yourself like I'm asking and trying to be kind with myself. But I've been attempting to do a video almost every single day for the last month, and I keep stopping. And you know why? Well, first, as I mentioned earlier, the internet waves are flooded with content, and in particular, video content. And if you think about it, everyone is at home. Everyone has social media as a potential platform. So who can compete right now with Elizabeth Gilbert's or Glennon Doyle's daily video, which, by the way, if you don't know them, you've got to check them out. Incredible. Who can compete with Broadway performers doing living room concerts? Or Josh Groban casually singing in his bathroom live on video? John Krasinski is doing this YouTube series, Some Good News, which is just so inspirational. And how can I compete with Lady Gaga doing Facebook Lives or this overload of how-tos, free offers, advice? I'm stuck and paralyzed in comparison to others, and I'm not starting. And sadly, I'm really being nudged to share. And now that we're supposedly on the wind down of this stay-at-home order, why start now, right? Then it came to me, this flooding of the internet cannot sustain itself. And maybe, just maybe, this is my time to start. And starting is all that I need to do. I love the Bob Dylan quote. He says, "He not busy being born is busy dying." And what that means to me is he not creating, growing, expressing, is stopped, is busy going the other way, not expanding, but dying. So how in this time can I keep creating? And if I truly trust divine inspiration and guidance that I've received to videotape my painting time, share my creative uncovery process, then I respond. And responding for me right now looks like showing up and starting. So guess what I did? I said yes. And then I began preparing again. AKA the setup stall. But this time, after much practice, I'm very aware, and I'm able to limit my stall time. So before I began my video series, I had this abbreviated stall, and I created a little game for myself to show up. So my studio's in order, so I had to create this game, something colorful, visual, and I have a new, what I call my 50 and 50. And some of you may recall my last 50 and 50. It was 50 performances, speaking, singing, acting, facilitating, something on stage and in front of people 50 times within 50 weeks. It was this dabbling experiment to craft my message, take risks, destabilize myself to grow in my speaking and in my performing. My 50 and 50 gave me clues to find out how good am I or bad. What is resonating? What is not? It gave me a playground, this place to break through to the edge of my capabilities. And it was just a helpful game, I guess, or a parameter, or this experiment to detach from the outcome and move forward with the only intention to grow and discover. So my new 50 and 50 is 50 days of just showing up in my studio, painting with no purpose other than to create, to paint. I spend at least 30 minutes and up to a couple hours with no agenda other than creating. And if I'm feeling really risky, I do a little video. And I do ask you to keep an eye out for those. I'm going to be releasing them. I'm doing stories, but I'm also releasing them in my Facebook group, Creative Uncovery. And I would just love for you to join me there. It's a place where you can gather with collective creatives who are seeking this joy-filled and meaningful life, particularly through creativity. But you can share your feedbacks, comments, ask questions, join in the conversation. Just would be great to have you there. But to add to the joy of the process, I have this 50 and 50, I guess I have 50 ribbons that I'm tying, one creating day at a time. And I have this metal grid that is being filled with colorful threads of progress, this 50 and 50, which is very different from my first. So this 50 and 50, where I guess the first one was purposely created to destabilize myself, to create breakthrough, to get to the edge of my capabilities. This one is softer. It's more gentle. It's colorful. It has 3 goals. Show up, start, and keep going. Detach from the outcome and allow myself to just be in the process. So I ask you again, what are you working on? Actually, what are you starting during this time? There are 2 sides that I keep hearing. One is saying, produce, this is the best time to be productive, finish projects, write a book. The other says, we are experiencing a collective trauma. And this is traumatic. This is a traumatic time for everyone. So take the pressure off to produce or create. Just let yourself grieve and rest if you need to. Well, I encourage you to see a sort of middle ground, that there can be healing in creating. There can be healing in process and in showing up for yourself. And that creating doesn't mean overproducing and pushing. It doesn't even have to mean completion. It just means showing up, starting, and keeping going. Are you creating every day? What might be your tiny, tiny next step? And catch yourself doing the setup stall, reminding yourself that there is magic in mistakes and that you'll never find out how good you are if you never start. So before I wrap up today, I wanted to share one more thing. So I have sent out an invitation last week for a free 60-minute Zoom call with me. No strings attached. I would love to connect. I would love to hear how you're doing, how you're processing, if you're creating, if you're stalling. And as you may know, I've been a coach and a confidant for many years, and while I certainly don't have all the answers, I have helped a lot of women in a lot of circumstances. And I think it's safe to say that we are experiencing very unique circumstances these days. So I'm making myself available for one-on-one Zoom calls. If you need a sounding board, if you need some encouragement, or you just want to chat. I just really would just love for you to book an hour that works, spend some time together talking about or working through whatever you'd like to focus on. And I hesitated to offer this because there is a ton of bait and switch out there. So you may be skeptical and wondering, okay, what is Elle getting from these calls? Well, for starters, I get energy, inspiration, and gratification that comes from helping to make a difference in these unprecedented times. And connection with others, even over a Zoom call, is so valuable for me right now. And if you feel the same, I just would love to connect with you. So go to lzimmerman.com and you'll see Discovery Call on the homepage, so you can click on that to find a day and time. And if you don't see anything that works for you, just reply. Just email me, l@lzimmerman, and find something that does. We can go back and forth to figure that out. So I just want to say thank you. Thank you for listening in this time of video overload. You're still choosing to listen to a podcast. Thank you for joining me in my Elle Zimmerman studio space. And I just say peace to you. Be well. Stay safe, and until next time. I'm so grateful you joined us for today's episode. I bet you're here because you know there's something more for your life. Whether you're moving into something creative or letting go in order to take that next creative step, I have something for you. My free guide to graceful transitions. You can find it at lzimmerman.com/transitions. And remember, if she made it, you can too.